And we are live for the WMA Today podcast, episode 83, the second of 2022. I am your host, Drake Riggs. Welcome. Great to have you guys here. Hope you're doing well on yet another lovely Monday. I apologize for the delay. Had to work out some scheduling things and work on the shitty connection, all sorts of things, but couldn't fix it. Thank you for tuning in. If you are here on Twitter, good to have you. But if you want to comment and interact, head on over to YouTube, Scrap's YouTube channel. Link should be on my Twitter where you are watching if you are on Twitter. And if not, then that's the other place you'll be. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe if you are on YouTube. Hit that notification bell so you always know when we're going live and having other videos drop, all that kind of thing. Or if you're not watching or listening live and catching up the day after or whenever after the episode on replay, or you want to listen on audio only, you have that option too on Spotify and Anchor. The WMA Today podcast. Just Google it, should come up, or you can find it there. Yada, yada. You know how it goes. So, what is going on, everybody? Good to see you all. Rain is here. Alvin is here. Jimmy is here. Jen, Centro, good to see you. Scott is here as well. And immediately, right out the gate, Rain dropping a Phantom Punch prediction for the end of the show. Don't forget, you guys, we're doing predictions now for the Phantom Punch breakdown as the episode goes on. So throughout each episode, you can guess the fighter will be breaking down at the end of the episode, as Rain here is giving us Zhang Jingan, the panda, since she is fighting this week. And that she is. We will be talking about that on this episode, as I should probably have ran down the lineup already, you guys. If you've stuck around for these first 2 minutes, appreciate you. Since there is nothing to recap and we are getting to quite the fight week right now, I will be giving you my predictions for some things to come out of 2022. We did that last year, Steve and I did, on the episode following the award show episode. So we're going to do that again here today. Same exact categories. Was kind of fun. So we'll be looking at my 3 breakout fighters, who I think they will be in 2022, and then the most likely to become champion in 2022. So feel free to get your guesses in there as well. And then news, of course, and it is a division-heavy news cycle this week, you guys. Practically all about one division. Take your guesses there as well. Not going to spoil that. But yeah, a lot of action in one division across the globe. Mostly UFC, but yeah. And then we have 4 events to at least talk about and mention. Invicta is back, kicking off the new year strong with that long-awaited rematch between Alicia Zappatella, and Jessica Del Boni, among many other great fights. One heavy hitters going down, as Jingan was mentioned there by Rain. UFC Vegas 46. Everybody is pretty much getting in on the action except for Ryzen and Bellator, so that is a good amount. We'll miss them and see them soon, of course. And then after that, close the show with the Phantom Punch breakdown, as we always do. So let's get into things a bit, and feel free, you guys, to ask questions throughout the entire show. We can chat it up there. Whenever I'm solo, happy to have you guys be the co-hosts, as you're always the good, happy, friendly lads and ladies. If you define as either one, no judgment. So James is here. Good to see you, James, as he is asking a question right out the gate, saying, how come last week both of you guys thought the chat would be offended when your guys' fight of the year was Rose versus Whaley 2? Whaley was doing clever tactics. I thought that was a great fight. Well, it was all jokingly, really. And obviously because of the Whaley fandom, because it was a fight that she lost. Sure, that is kind of where our subconsciouses were at with those kind of jokes and whatnot. But no, it wasn't serious. We didn't think you'd be super upset, James. Just that we're all having fun here. We're all having fun together, hanging out. Didn't think you guys would be mad at that. And I mean, we would have done it anyway as our vote if we did really worry about that. But no, not exactly the case there. Rue predicting Michelle Nicolini week. Okay, all right. Great BJJ player in one championship. Scott going with Janessa Morangen. A little bit of a wild card take there. I like it though, Scott. And everybody asking for Ghost's predictions already. I haven't seen an appearance from him yet, so maybe he's not here today. Maybe Ghost has other things going on, you guys, but plenty of time for him to show up still. But either way, he will share them if he would like to. And Scott going with Hope Chase. All right, I love these guesses you're throwing out right here. Very off the wall, I would say. But all right, so with that in mind, you guys, let's just get on into the lineup now officially with predicting the breakout fighters of 2022. Feel free to share yours as well. Always happy to hear from you. As we will kick off with mine, and I did not do these separately, so you're going to see them all at once, and then we can talk about them all at once as well. So to begin, the picks for breakout fighters of 2022. This was very difficult, actually. I didn't think it would be too hard to pick because last year I looked back at who I chose for last year, and not great. My predictions were not correct. I mean, they weren't bad, but they didn't break out necessarily. So last year I looked back at it and I chose Kanako Murata, of course, who was getting in the UFC. Mungbo, both of them lost fairly convincingly. I mean, Mungbo's was closer. And then Luana Pinheiro. I think that was the other one I chose. And she did fine. Obviously had some weird stuff happen, but I wouldn't say any of those three broke out. So swing and a miss on all three strikes for me in 2021. And then this year, it was a lot more difficult because I didn't pick anybody who I don't think you can have been a champion. I think you should count out people who have been champions in, bigger organizations. So for example, I was thinking about putting Emily Dakota on here at first. And then I was like, well, I mean, fucking killed it with her last win to become champion. And then she's a champion now. So didn't quite want to put her. I feel like she could be. She's in a very gray area, I think, with having now being a champion. But I did not go with Emily Dakota. So instead, I went with the one obvious one. And the two other ones were difficult, as I've now built up your anticipation for my picks for the three breakout fighters who I think can and will break out in 2022. Starting things off with Erin Blanchfield, of course, followed by Jessica Rose Clark and Aya Murakami. Jess, I know, is going to be a controversial one as well, since she has been around for a while and has technically been a top 10 fighter already in the flyweight division of the UFC. But I don't feel like ever truly broke out necessarily in that time period yet. And I mean, if you look at her now, Jess, that is, I think it's safe to say she's looking better than she ever has in her career. Obviously, the Alpar win was just nasty. The Jocelyn Edwards one showing continued wrestling improvements. Very dominant win there as well. I mean, she's won 6 rounds in a row, right, with a finish mixed in against Alpar. Just brilliant stuff there. So Jess, I think, has some serious momentum going and can really become somebody who makes some waves at bantamweight in 2022 more than maybe she ever has. So I think she qualifies. Again, this was very tough for me. Of course, there's names out there like Fiorot, who I guess would count too, but I feel like she's kind of already gotten out there a little bit more than maybe others. People are talking about her a lot as a potential, future star, as I should be, and I'm all on that wagon as well. Casey O'Neill, I think, has already done that with her great year last year. Obviously, in that mix too, Erin Blanchfield, who is just continuing to prove that she is the truth. You guys know me, been saying she is the absolute best prospect in MMA, period, alongside Sayaka Izawa, who is no longer a prospect. She is the best fighter in the world at atomweight now. So that does not make you a prospect, despite being in only your second year of MMA madness and 24 years old. But I don't think Sayaka qualifies anymore. She's no longer a prospect. Erin Blanchfield still just there. I'm sure after her next win, we can say no more. But I think she'll have a big 2022 because she's that damn good. Really get herself near the top 5. I'm willing to say she will get near the top 5. So I'm super confident in that one. I think that qualifies the most. Aya Murakami, also had a great 2021. I mean, I think if maybe some of the victories were a little bit bigger in terms of name value, she could have definitely been a good choice for Breakthrough Fighter of the Year. But because they weren't, you didn't not as much noise about her compared to, let's say, Sarioshima and Sekizawa, which very difficult ones to top, of course. But Aya Murakami, 3 armbars in a row last year in the first round, just finishing everybody Lil Rousey style at microweight, 97 pounds in deep jewels. So Murakami has some fantastic momentum going right now. Of course, was supposed to be in that atomweight title tournament with Oshima and the like. The rest of them, unfortunately got sick and was not able to get in there, but trending upward for her. So this could be a much bigger year for CRE than last year was, which is saying a good amount because last year was very good for her. But those are the ones I'm going with. I feel pretty good about them all, really. About all of them. So let's see what you guys think. Bum, bum, bum. Scott, see, taking the words out of my mouth a little bit there. Furo, I think, is a little bit of that gray area as well. I'm all on the Man on Hype train. I am fine with that one. If she counts, in your opinion, then yeah, she'd be on mine as well. Ghost, not a predictions guy. He says in his opinion, predictions are useless since they have no effect on the fight game. I care about what happens in the cage in the present moment. Ghost says, no offense, Drake. I know you love this kind of thing, but I'd rather focus on technical details. I know, but it's all good fun. As Jin is disappointed, Rue says his opinion carries the same weight as mine. So very sad that he won't even make predictions. Oh, it is what it is. And Scott also taking Pinero. All right, carrying over to this year. I like it. I think she could, you could do her here as well. Jimmy saying so sad for Hamasaki. Yes, still a big time bummer, but as a total champ, taking it in stride. Oh, that's a good one, Scott. Josiane Nunes. I like that one. That's a real sleeper. Real sleeper. Very curious to see how she looks in her next fight, whenever and whoever that's against. And then featherweight taking Yanni Razafiarsin. Her last name always ruins me. That's a tough one. And I think I'm pretty good at pronunciation, but that's a tough one. And Ayani's been around for a while. So unfortunately for her, I think we're a little bit past her potential to become a real threat at featherweight at this point. But I think she's still relatively young. So you could be onto something there, Scott. I know it's tough at featherweight. I know it is tough at featherweight. Jimmy with the Kana Watanabe pick. I think Kana is a little bit of that gray area as well. Of course, she is top 5 in Bellator, their rankings. And I'm pretty sure I would agree with that too. But worldwide, Kana is not in my 15, even as much as we love her. That would be great for her to break out. I think she could count for that. As Rue says, we got to go with Kana. Centro says Kana will be the breakout fighter of the year. Jen Kana will reign. There we go, you guys. This is what I love. I miss the Kana love. We need to get this really going once she gets her next fight. Get it just over the top, better than ever with the Kana Fury, if you will. Kazushi Kana, as I have now coined after the last week's breakdown, if you saw the separated clip there. So Rain says, Panchan makes her MMA debut against Park and makes noise in the MMA world for breakout fighter. Holy shit, that's a bold prediction, Rain. That's not just a breakout prediction. That's an overall bold one and double whammy. I like it though. That would be nuts. That would be nuts indeed. Din repeating Kazuchikana. Yep, you got it. Alex, my dude, is here with the Sydney Trio pick. And unfortunately, I don't even know who that is, Alex. You're gonna have to hit me up with the Tapology link or something. I don't know who that is. What promotion is she fighting? So shame on me as the host of this show, the all-encompassing of women's knowledge. I'm unaware of Sydney, so I like it though. If you're mentioning her, then keep an eye on her. So Jimmy saying Oshima upsets Izawa and becomes the new breakout fighter. That would seal it. I mean, Oshima was right. She had it. She had it in the bag. 2021 breakout fighter of the year, breakthrough fighter, whatever phrasing you want to do. And then obviously Seka's win, a little bit bigger than the Kana one. Still great from Oshima, but I like that. That's a little bold too. Not super bold, but yeah. If Saori practically, it's like so close. She had it, but I cannot wait to see her next as well. In that Deep Jewels 36 fight, right? And Alex saying last fight in the LFA beat down Alondria Brown. Okay, that was recent, right? Okay, I remember that was happening. So I guess maybe I had her in the back of my mind, but wasn't fully aware. As he says, watch the fight, super impressive and very easy on the eyes. Okay, that always helps for the old marketability term, as Steve likes to call it. And James says Emily Dakota could be the breakout fighter of the year. Yeah, see, it's gray area with her for me because already champ in a great promotion like Invicta, incredible performance last time out. She's gray area because of the title, I think. But yeah, I contemplate her greatly. Alex is here. Good to see you, my man. Happy to have you. Happy New Year. Rue says all that matters was 2019 breakout fighter of the year was Zhang Weili for winning the belt in Shenzhen. I would argue that 2019 was because that same year she beat Tisha, right? So the Tisha win, I would say, was when she broke out, but same year, so it doesn't matter. All right. So with that in mind, you guys, here's a fun one. Sorry, Ghost. I know you're probably not enjoying this, but from Breakout Fighters of 2022, we're going to go to most likely to become champion in 2022. Who do you guys think is most likely to become champion in 2022? I know we could have done this across all divisions. For more fun, I probably should have done it that way, but I only did one pick for this. And the one pick I did is pretty much a cheat. It's pretty much cheat. This person already is a champion in one division. They should be a double champ. They're the Lanil champ. We already discussed her. You know who it is. And if you know me, you know who I'm taking here as well. Sekizawa is the easy choice, and I'm taking the easy choice. So, Starflower, one of the biggest upsets of ever, the breakthrough fighter of 2022. WMMA Today's performance of 2021, excuse me, as well. Arguably the fighter of the year overall. Perhaps the best rookie year in MMA career overall. Her very first year that we've ever seen in the sport of MMA. My God, to go from starting out 14 months later to beat one of the best fighters of all time and finish them. Absolute insanity. So Seka and Ayaka will rematch. So Seka's next fight, unless for some reason she goes and fights in Deep Jewels before then, maybe defends a strawweight title. I just feel like that won't happen. She's going to have the opportunity to officially become atomweight champion in 2022. And since she already beat Ayaka the way she did, as much as we love Hamasaki, I think this is the logical prediction here, if you will. And I definitely think that the rematch will be tougher because Hamasaki is a monster still. Seka Izawa is the absolute truth. prodigy of all prodigies. So yeah, I mean, a little bit cheating, isn't it? But it is definitely a safe one. I am admitting it, though. I'm admitting it. So James says Zhang Weili in strawweight. Okay. The problem with that one is, I think I've said this before, but Weili just getting a title shot in 2022, that will be tough. Because you got to think she's going to need at least 2 fights, at least. And she's going to need the title to change hands. And it's going to change hands when Marina Rodriguez fights for that belt. So there you go, as Alex predicts. Marina to be his most likely. I like it. Rain says maybe no champion, but most looking forward to Weili. Yep. Yeah. It's gonna be an interesting year. Interesting year to see who how the belts change. Obviously, you got many unexpected ones at the end of last year. And clearly, since I went with Sayaka, this is across all promotions, so not just UFC specific. As Alex says, Kayla Harrison, 145 in Bellator or UFC. Okay. I like I like that. It's a lot. Kayla fighting Nunes is a lot more interesting after seeing the Pena fight, because before that, I definitely would have written her off. And they train together, so I mean, there's that element. But I don't know. I still don't believe in Kayla doing, beating or shouldn't be favored whatsoever against Cyborg or Nunes. Still, even though Nunes lost, but I mean, you look at who Kayla's fought. It's just you cannot. Yes, very skilled, but come on, man. We've seen this time and time again. And Go says, let's give Izawa some love. She's the only one that broke Hamasaki's posture within her triangle. Yeah, that was insane. And watching that play out, I was thinking back to the breakdown and the Sohyam fight, Ghost. So it's very crazy how that kind of happened after we had looked at it. And it's no surprise either, you guys, that I kind of had to take Seka with this pick, because I don't know if you saw, but my bold prediction for 2022 overall, and this was before the fight happened. My bold prediction was that Sayaka would be the Rising Super Atomweight champion in 2022. Now, I did say specifically whether, I can't say if that's from beating Ayaka or somebody else, because Ayaka retires or who knows, but I'm halfway there. I'm halfway to my bold prediction coming true. So I have to toot my own horn a little bit every now and then. And this has just been maybe the most incredible rise that I've ever seen. And yeah, Sekezawa, something else. Can't wait to maybe chat her up soon, you guys. I don't know. I'm not gonna say I have anything confirmed or not, but I cannot wait till the day that I get to speak with this young lady. So Starflower, many questions for her to hear about her story. Scott says the Bullet will be a 2-division champ by taking the bantamweight belt by December. Okay. I don't think that pick counts, Scott, since she is already a champion. But then you could also say, well, Sayaka is already a champion as well. So never mind. I'll give you that one because, yeah, Sayaka is technically the Deep Jewels. Well, she is the Deep Jewels strawweight champion. So that is a fair pick. But I don't know. I'm still not sure if we will get that. And Go says, remember Ham couldn't finish Hamasaki in the triangle, and what makes the Izawa fight great is she finished her in a mountain triangle. Yep, that's what blows my mind even more. Pat and I on the intermission show here on this channel, the Ryzen 33 intermission show. You can go back and watch it here on the Scrap. Like, share, subscribe. Bam, bam, bam. I was saying, Pat, think about this, man. Sohee Ham, another one of the best fighters of all time, the Korean GOAT. She couldn't even finish Ayaka in that position. Fucking insane. Absolutely insane. Every time I think about Izawa versus Hamasaki, it blows my mind over and over. Like, Jesus Christ. Oh, man. Oh my goodness. Litchfield Scott, good to see you, man. Thanks for tuning in. Always a pleasure to have you. Centro says, sorry, guys. Just love Hamasaki more. Totally fair. I love her as well. She is phenomenal. Phenomenal. Doesn't diminish her legacy or anything. It just really starts off Seka strong. And who knows, guys? Maybe she'll right that wrong in the rematch. Wouldn't be surprised. I'm very curious if we get odds on that one. I know that Ryzen, they're kind of hard to find sometimes, but I mean, after that performance, I feel like it's tough to not have Seka as the favorite, just like slightly, just slightly. Rue says, so sad for Ayaka. Loved Ayaka's breakdown with striking. Both of them. Yeah, all the Ayaka breakdowns. Those ones are definitely some of my favorite. A little bit biased, as you guys know, but and I mean they're all great. Ghost, I don't need to say that, but yeah. Scott says, nice interview with Yan Nan, by the way. Great stuff, man. Thank you so much, Scott, giving me the plug here early. That is out now, yes. Yan Nan dropped it today. Spoke with her on Saturday. You can see that at mymanews.com, my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Drake Riggs. Yan Nan, yeah, getting ready for that Marina Rodriguez fight. Another one that is incredibly bittersweet for me because I am Yan Nan. You guys know, maybe my favorite fighter at the moment, up there with Kanako. Need more Kanako in my life as well. Always do. But yeah, Marina, big fan of hers also, and very high on her. As you guys know, I think she will be strawweight champion at some point. So the fact that I'm saying that by default sounds like I'm picking her over Zhao Nan, which I'm not going to get into that yet. We'll wait till UFC 272 fight week. But yes, thank you for that compliment, Scott. Go check that one out. It's very fun. Always great getting a chat with Zhao Nan. Asked her what she thought of the Zhang and Namajunas rematch, who she thought won, how she thinks Carla will do, kind of what she takes away the most from the Carla loss, the Marina fight, Team Alpha Male, differences from China training and US, all that kind of thing. Good chat. 30 minutes. I did it while I was away on a little mini vacation because wasn't sure if I was going to go on that because one of my friends is not a good planner, but still ended up pulling it off. Pretty nice background in that video, I will say, in the cabin type thing we had down in Sun River, Oregon, but got it done. Made it work. Good stuff. So go check that one out after the show or put it in your queue right now, as I think that's possible with these live videos on YouTube. Jimmy says, don't really care who are champions next year. Just want to see Weili fight again with her new skills she learned at Fight Ready. Yep, I'm excited for that too, Jimmy. And I know that you guys will not even watch the pay-per-views unless she's on them. So there's that. Rain says, I saw the interview. Weili said the same thing about the results. Weili even said she agreed with the decision. Okay. Wow. I haven't actually heard that from Weili, that she, I mean, she didn't seem upset about it, obviously. And I know that we talked to her in the back after that fight, actually. I don't remember, though, if she was asked, like, if she agreed with the decision or not. But all right, there you go. I mean, it was pretty clear. First three to Weili or last three to Rose. That's how it is. It's all on that third round. The third round is just, my goodness, very difficult to score, I think. But more people scored it for Weili if you look in most places. But all right, we can wrap up the starting point here of the predictions and all that good stuff right at the 30-minute mark. So perfect, absolutely perfect. And no mailbag this week because no mail, and I don't really care. The mailbag is slowly dying. So maybe we can do something to spice it up and revitalize it. But it doesn't really matter now because you guys just drop your questions in the chat box, which if you are watching on Twitter at this exact moment here as I'm saying these words live, I cannot see them. On StreamYard, the Twitter comments do not go through. So head on over to YouTube, the Scraps YouTube channel, and get on the video in YouTube, and then you can interact in the comments below or on the side, technically, and then I can see them, and we can have a good old time. So, Yes, good point, James. Ghost did use the mailbag, and then that's how it evolved into its own segment, another segment, the Fan Punch Breakdown. Good point. That is a great point. How we come full circle. But let's get into the news cycle. As I mentioned earlier, very divisional heavy news cycle this week. It is pretty much the flyweight show. A lot happening at 125 pounds around the world. Starting off with a little bit of a surprise matchup coming at Bellator 274 on February 19th in Uncasville. It'll be Vita Ortega taking on Carrie Melendez. Did not see this one coming. This is a big step up for Carrie Melendez, who has yet to really face anybody too. I don't know where I'm going with that. She hasn't fought somebody on the level of Vita Ortega quite yet. And Vita, in her last fight, looked great against Desiree Yanez. So she's really turned it around since kind of the little skid that she was on for losing her title opportunity against Ilima-Lei Macfarlane. A fight that she actually, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, I was there for that one, and I believe had her winning the first round. Maybe in the first 2 rounds, Vita didn't do that bad against Ilima-Lei, and then just got absolutely thumped with a hammer of an elbow, middle of the forehead, one of the gnarliest sounding elbows I've ever heard in my life. It sounded like wood being chopped, and cut her open and finished it. I mean, that was just nastiness. So Vita Ortega, though, turned it around since then. Carrie Melendez, not been very active in her MMA career. So a great striker, though. We know that. This is going to be a tough one for her, though. Vita can do a little bit of everything quite well and is down to throw down and very tough, obviously. You want to keep going after getting that gash on her forehead. My goodness. So, yeah, this is didn't see that one coming, but big chance for Carrie to launch into the rankings there. Yeah. So that is the first bit of flyweight news around the globe. Much more coming up here, but before that, Rue asks, why do you love Xiaonan so much, Drake? No offense, but her offense is pretty one note. She opens with a cool hook kick to start every fight. It throws 1-2s the rest of the fight. Well, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, Rue. Yes, she does do those things, but I mean, the whole time, I don't think so. I know that you guys or Whaley fans apparently are not Xiaonan fans. As somebody said last week that Xiaonan's apparently mean on WeChat. And again, I can't figure out how to see the social side of WeChat. If somebody could help me, please. Is there a Twitter type side to it? I remember looking for Whaley's page or whatever, but it doesn't come up for me. Maybe it's because I'm in America. I have no idea. But either way, somebody said Xiaonan is mean on WeChat or something like that. So I don't know what that means technically because I can't even see it. But Xiaonan been great to me when I've talked to her. And yes, of course, their interview formats. But yeah, she's a fun fighter. I really enjoy just kind of the tenaciousness that she brings to the table and the diversity in her strikes. I just really like Sonda fighters when I think about it. And I guess there's not well, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say I have a lot of Sonda-based favorites, but Norma Dumont, for example, has a Sonda background. Of course, Whaley does have the Sonda. A lot of the Chinese fighters do, of course. But something just about that overall style intrigues me. And Xiaonan, I think, implements it very nicely. I enjoy watching it. Yeah, I mean, what more do you want from me, man? I just love the way that Xiaonan fights. And lovely personality, as he believes. So, all about the Fury. Some good stories out of her. So, anyway, moving on back to flyweight business before we get to one bit of strawweight news. Justine Quiche has signed with Bellator. So, that is a thing. congrats to her for finding a home. I'm not sure I agreed with that release from the UFC, especially off of a questionable loss to Tracy Cortez. I do think she should have won that fight, but alas, she did not. So now she's on to Bellator. Good addition to the division, I would say. Generally a fairly fun fighter to watch. I feel like I don't know. I feel like Justine Quiche, when she was on The Ultimate Fighter, had a good amount, a decent amount of potential. Like, I don't know if I'd ever say I would have assumed her being a champion or like a top 5 threat, but she seemed like she could have gone a good distance, and of course had to pull out from injury. I think it was a foot thing she had, so she didn't even get to compete all the way through. She didn't lose on The Ultimate Fighter, but here we are now, many a year later, 8 years, right, since that happened, since that season, and now joins Bellator. Decent addition, not mad at it. Best place for her to go that isn't the UFC at 125 pounds, right? So curious to see who they match her up with first, if they go straight top 10 or what. That's the question. That is the question. Mary is here. Good to see you, Mary. Thanks for tuning in. She says, "Forgive me, Drake. I was the one that said that in the response to another comment. I hope it did not offend you." No. About Mary means about the actions, her actions on WeChat. No, you didn't offend me at all, Mary. Don't worry. I like to think I have pretty thick skin. Either that or I just don't care about those kind of things. Not offended whatsoever. You are totally fine. Everyone has an opinion. You're fair to think what you want, right? Unless you're very racist and mean, then we don't want you here. So that's kind of common ground for anywhere, though. But no, you didn't offend me at all. I'm curious about it. I'd like to see, at least for myself, and then I can form my own opinions and go from there. But yeah, again, I've struggled with the social media side, whatever you want to call it, of WeChat. It is strictly a communication tool for me. It doesn't look like a social media. I know it does a lot of things. I know you can pay with it and all that kind of thing. And I was doing that when I was in China, but I don't know how to find like profile pages or whatever. So talking too much about WeChat is what I'm doing. And Scott asks, any news on Alexa Grasso and if she's getting another opponent? I wish she would fight more often. Well, don't you worry, sir. That is coming up here in the cycle. So yeah, after this next bit, actually, well timed. Come on, Scott, I'm going to cover these things, man. I know you know, and I do have an answer for you. So, but before that, the one bit of a different division's news is at strawweight, we have Corey Mckenna versus Elise Reed at UFC London on March 19th. How about that? Corey Mckenna I don't know if she fought at all last year or if it was like right at the beginning, but we haven't seen her since the Kay Hansen robbery. I'm just going to be totally honest. Don't see how she won that fight. Corey Mckenna, just like 21, still very, very young. Elise Reed had that very unfortunate UFC debut against Sijara Eubanks. Just a fight to take to get in the UFC. It did not go her way, as expected. Now dropping down to 115, which is much better suited there, and will take on a fellow young prospect. Nothing wrong with this fight. I think this is just fine matchmaking. Just fine. I have no problem with it. So should be fine. Should be fun. But getting back to the flyweight business, as Mr. McCrate mentioned, McCrate, let me know. Viviane Araujo has withdrawn from her UFC 270 match versus Alexa Grasso on January 22nd. Big time bummer there. Oh, how I wish we could see Alexa Grasso fight again. And unfortunately, now she has been pulled from the card, Scott. So we will not get to see Alexa Grasso versus anybody on January 22nd. We will have to wait to maybe see this fight again later down the road or whenever, wherever, whoever. Don't know what was the issue with Araujo. I believe some type of injury, but no specification. But yeah, that sucks. This was going to be a fun one, I think. Two very good strikers. Of course, Alexa Grasso got them hands, very sharp, crisp boxing, as we saw in her last fight against Macy Barber. And just generally Grasso, when she shows up and gets to kind of flow on the feet, get some fun visuals. But not on the 22nd. Sorry. So aside from that, we have two more bits of news here. So flying through that a little bit more, but we got plenty to preview coming up. And this fight is one that didn't quite expect or think about for either, but do they have something maybe against Ariane Lipski, because she is now taking on JJ Aldrich at UFC Vegas 50, which is on March 12th. From the Lipski perspective, she just keeps getting these matchups, for the most part, that are winnable, yeah, but still not very easy. I think JJ kind of has the tools a bit there to kind of stifle Lipski if she can get a hold of her, which is what she's going to want to do. No one wants to stand with Lipski. That's just the truth of it. For the most part, I mean, unless you're going to be Valentina or something, but JJ Aldrich, always a tough out, always a gamer, can make it ugly for Lipski and, put her on her back, as we've seen several times in the UFC. But if she doesn't, she's in trouble. Big, big trouble. Jin says, I have a question about the fight kits for the women. Isn't wearing a t-shirt assist in the grappling aspect? I don't know if I've heard that argument, but in theory, yeah. I mean, help. I can see both ways of looking at it, where it could help the person who isn't wearing one and the other person is, and then that provides you with the ability to grab onto something and adjust your leverages, all that kind of thing. And then for the other person, maybe for, I don't know, traction a little bit in grappling sequences. I don't know. I haven't rolled around in a gi or anything like that, so I don't have a great question, great answer or perspective to really answer that. But that's what I would assume with common basic knowledge. And then, if you guys remember, Courtney Casey, after her last fight with Jojua, she said that she thinks they shouldn't be allowed because they cover up damage, which that's an interesting take, and I think that's fair. If you land a bunch of body shots to a fighter and you got a shirt on, you're not going to see potential bruising or redness. So from that point of view, I think that's an assist in terms of hiding damage, you could say. But I don't know. That's a good question, though, Jen. CEB, the man is here. Christopher Edwards Bailey, thank you so much for tuning in again, my man. Keeping consistent now. Really appreciate it. He says, what have I missed? Just first 30 minutes, we did Breakout Fighters of 2022 predictions. So I gave my 3, and then a bunch of the other guys, of course, sharing their thoughts, and then most likely to become a champion in 2022. Just those 2 categories. Chris then ran through the news so far. Don't worry, you have not missed the previews for Invicta or One. No. As James is Guessing the Phantom Punch breakdown this week, going with Angela Lee, since Ghost already won on Stamp Fairtex, and their fight is coming up later in the year. Ho, ho, ho. You know that Ghost does like to kind of look at both fighters before they fight each other. So did it with Hamasaki and Fujino, albeit unintentionally. He did Fujino after the two Hamasaki ones before the fight was announced. But yeah, we've seen him do that before. Might be a good guess. Centro says, I also guess Angela Lee on maybe it could be, or maybe it could be Jingan too. Those are his top two guesses. All right, the champs, the one champs. And Ghost sharing his thoughts saying Rash Guard versus Bearskin and side control. Rash Guard is an advantage in side control or north-south. Our gym does Rash versus Bearskin to prepare people with their fights. All right, there you go. A better insider answer there from Mr. Phantom himself. But moving on to the biggest news of the day, the week, the news cycle. Curious to hear your thoughts on this one, Mr. Edwards Bailey, because I don't know how I feel about it just yet, but it was revealed today from Mr. Damon Martin at MMA Fighting that Miesha Tate versus Lauren Murphy is being targeted for UFC 273 on April 9th at 125 pounds. Flyweight division debut coming up for Miesha Tate, the former bantamweight champ. She's going to give it a try. Crazy. And of course, we've seen Miesha looking in phenomenal shape and very lean on this comeback tour. But that still seems nuts to me for her to try and go to flyweight now. And yes, her best friend, or one of her very good friends, I guess, Juliana Pena, is now the bantamweight champ, and she just lost to Caitlyn Vieira. But my goodness, it could still be Nunes very soon, depending on when that rematch happens. And I do think Nunes will win the rematch. So in terms of getting back to that spot, I don't think Miesha's super far away. But if she beats Lauren Murphy, who is coming off the loss to Valentina Shevchenko, then she's right there at flyweight too. And it would be pretty nuts if they gave her a title shot off of just that win. But it's possible. I would say she should get 2 wins. But we'll see. Lauren Murphy, also a former bantamweight and bantamweight champion in Invicta. I think it's going to be a very fun fight, and one that we could have maybe at some point should have maybe seen at bantamweight. Just never lined up, and now we're getting it flyweight, and going to be an interesting try for Miesha, I think, to drop even farther. So very surprising. I mean, I just think she should have tried to stick with bantamweight at least for a bit. But of course, Miesha might not be trying to stick around all too long anyway, since this is that comeback tour, as I said. Litchfield says, good fight. Yeah. He says 2 wins. Yep. 2 more at least. Seems fair. And hopefully in the meantime, they make Taila Santos versus Valentina, because I think Taila has earned it. But that's just me. Seems pretty clear. Rain guessing Janet Todd for the Phantom Punch breakdown. We had one with her teammate Jackie Boonton, which no one saw coming. No, they did not. Not a single guess for Jackie until I spoiled it, saying Alvin would like it. And then Jen saying maybe the Phantom Punch is Panchan. Continued. Ghost loves Panchan, don't we all? As I'm running out of water. Getting dry. But yeah, I'm excited for the fight. I think it'll be good, like I said. But kind of hard to assess how Miesha will do with that depletion. This is always what makes these kind of moves very intriguing. So we will leave it there. For the news today, that is all we got. flyweight heavy, as I said, right? That was a lot of flyweight business happening this past week. So, it'll be a very interesting future just for that division with the young up and comers and all these different kind of shakeups or what have you. As Ghost wants to mention that he forgot regarding the rash guard thing. Rash guards have more friction. That's why it's easier to hold people down with more friction. Yeah, that's kind of the word I was looking for when I said traction. So, all right. So I was kind of on the same page as he Ghost. It just seems like common clothing knowledge, right? It applies to fighting as well. We haven't seen people really complain about that though. I forget who was asking, if it was Rue maybe, but Courtney Casey's like the only person I've ever seen, at least from female fighters' perspectives, say that they don't like that. Would be interesting. It'd be interesting to kind of gauge opinions. I might start asking people what they think about that. Thanks for bringing that up. If that was you, Rue, don't want to get credited to the wrong person. It's Rain Rue. I think it was one of the R's, one of the R boys. But that's an interesting kind of thing to look at. At least I would say so. Let me know if you like that idea. I will start asking people about it just because why not? So, but with that in mind, we'll move on to the big fat preview section of the show because there's a fuckload of fights to kick off the year. So before we get to actually the traditional previews, we're going to do what to watch for, which is essentially a quick little preview when I don't really know enough about most of the fights to give a proper preview for it. But what will be happening on the 15th, right? Let me see here. January 15th is the very first ever Palace Athena Women's Fighting Championship event, which is headlined by Sarah Kaufman. I didn't even know this until like last week, a couple days ago. No offense to the new PA FC, which is great to see because it is an all women's league. Clearly, it's in the title, right? Paulus Athena Women's Fighting Championship. But Sarah Kaufman, it drives me nuts that she gets disrespected and shouldn't be fighting on new promotional events like this. Yes, it is in Canada, so Canadian based, which I guess maybe play a part. I don't know, but Sarah Kaufman, one of the most underrated fighters of all time, competing in the inaugural Bantamweight Championship. So that's fair. She definitely deserves that as she takes on Claudia Leite from Brazil. And then the co-main event, you got Andy Wynn, the Crazian, taking on Laura Fontoura, who is 6-0. And Andy fight's always pretty fun. And yeah, I mean, Dakota Dicheva, that's a prospect to watch out of the UK. 3-0. Plenty of newcomers here, as you can see. 110 amateur bout to start things off. I mean, I'm glad that this event is happening. Don't get me wrong. I didn't want to sound negative towards it right there. I was more upset at the fact that Sarah Kaufman just should clearly, undeniably be in the UFC right now. And it just is, it's just, I can't even speak about it because it just blows my mind. But this event is happening. So excited to see that. And this, I don't know if this is an error, but this says 5 5-minute rounds for a non-title fight for Andy and Fontoura. But yeah, so watch out for that event on January 15th, apparently at 9 p.m. Eastern Time from Calgary with Felicia Spencer on the mic. How about that? How about that? Oh, okay, with Jin. Sorry about the question about the clothing. I'm completely wrong. And Rue, yes, I know. Mixing it up. Mixing it up. Sorry, guys. So many comments, so little brain capacity, you know. James says, how long until this gets absorbed by the UFC? I don't know. Good question. Does it say who it's ran by? No. I don't know. We'll have to see how it kind of starts off, but that's always possible. As Little says, he was also surprised when he saw Kaufman's name on here. Rue, the event we are dying to see. The sarcasm in this man's text is dripping out of my computer screen. Alvin says, new promotion, wishing all the fighters the best. New promotions like these help the talented newcomers make a name for themselves and gives everyone a chance to shine. Give the slow clap to our man here with the brilliant positivity. Love it. Love it. But yeah, I'm curious to know how this goes and what it all looks like. I don't know what it'll be broadcast and shown on. Hopefully YouTube or something, but does it say on this poster? No. Oh well. Good to have more places. Like Ellen said, providing opportunities. Can't go wrong. And in Canada, I think that's very important. That this is a Canadian-based promotion. At least I'm assuming. Why would they start somewhere else? But so that's just one of the all women cards going down this week. Because on Wednesday, Invicta starts us off with Invicta FC 45, and that will be on YouTube as well as MMAJunkie.com. Look at them working with Invicta. Don't know exactly what's going on with the whole access deal, but it's not going to be shown on there apparently. Just happy to have Invicta back. And to start things out with, Zapatella versus Del Boni 2. First fight was the robbery of the year. You've seen Jessica Del Boni saying some stuff on Twitter. She is very amped up. So I cannot wait for this fight. Going to be good old time, as Invicta cards always are. Hopefully we can get that whole lot of 22 as we were kind of expecting to pick up after that deal did go through. As James gives out a go Ramona and Rue with the Pascal for the win. Well, let's take a look at this card overall, huh? Because it's gone through some mix-ups, some change-ups. Thankfully, the title fight still intact. Knock on wood until weigh-ins. Continue with the knock-in. In the co-main event, Ramona supposed to take on Courtney King at featherweight. Now it is a 150 catchweight since Courtney King got COVID, and Shamir Peshua coming on in. An alumni of Steve's MMA Inc. If you haven't seen that, that is out. I think that was his very first episode, actually. So Shamir going to be coming on in to replace Courtney King. Good for her. Good opportunity. Monica Franco versus Haley Cowan at bantamweight. That's a good, fun prospect battle. Maria Josie Favela, Sarah Klechka, Peralta versus Pone, which was added a little bit later. Katie Saul, no longer taking on Tabitha Watkins. Now Tamika Jones. I didn't even know that. Card's been through the ringer a little bit, unfortunately, but hey, we still got one nonetheless. So let's look at that main event because that's the featured attraction. What is it? Piste Resistance. I don't know. Is that French? I know that's a thing. But you guys know it. Anyone who's seen the fight, I still, to this day, right this exact moment, have literally never seen anyone say or think that Alicia Zapatella won the first fight outside of Zapatella herself. Alicia has already said that she is going to go up to strawweight after this. She is, I believe, 4'11" or 4'10", mind you. One of the smallest fighters on the planet. Not as tiny as I think Chibisai over in Deep Jewels. I am Murakami is pretty tiny as well, who we talked about earlier in the predictions. But Alicia Zapatella at strawweight and already thinking past, at least that's how it would sound, thinking past the woman that, in a lot of people's opinions as well, clearly beat her the first time over the course of 5 rounds. Not a great thing to hear necessarily. But we know Alicia Zapatella is a very good wrestler. If she gets a hold of you, it can keep you down. She doesn't quite do a whole lot of damage, but she definitely is active from the top, has submission abilities, won the title with a Von Flue choke. That was impressive. Striking just still needs a whole lot of work. She's just very short, not just as a striker, but an overall half pint for a reason. Jessica Del Boni was working those leg kicks throughout the whole last fight. Mixed it up nicely with the hands overall and defended the takedowns very well. Her takedown defense was very good in that fight. Jessica Del Boni just doesn't get quite enough love. And I think she has obviously gotten more since that first fight and then winning the one-night tournament to get this title fight back. In a way, I think she would have got it regardless, but she wanted to do the tournament anyway and ended up winning it. Looked great in that as well. So here we are again. Alicia Zapatella, she's got still a lot to work on despite being champion. And I think we've seen that. She has coasted at times. If you remember her fight with Kana Sakura in Ryzen, Alicia Zapatella has fought in Ryzen. She was winning. She actually out-wrestled Kana a bit there in the first 2 rounds. And then in the 3rd round, felt like she had it in the bag. Kana goes out there, dominates her a little bit better than in those first 2 rounds in the last round. And since fights are scored as a whole in Ryzen, Zapatella lost that fight. Oh, man. I think she's gotten better about that since, but still not just, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough with her. Maybe she'll go out there with a new kind of fire and surprise us all in this rematch, but Jessica Del Boni is just overall very, very tough to handle. And it's just hard for me to see that this looking all too much different from the first fight unless it's Del Boni going out there and really having her way even more so. She's quite good. She's quite good. Uncrowned champion. Craig Johnston is here. Good to see you, man. Good evening, Drake. Enjoying the show. Happy you are. Thanks so much for tuning in again, man. Appreciate it every time. Even just one little comment like that makes my day that much better. Appreciate seeing you as well as everybody else. Jimmy asks, will I be interviewing Ramona again? Love her documenting, her journey on Instagram. Plus, we are both from USC. All right, very cool. Yeah, of course I'll talk to Ramona again. Nothing wrong with chatting with Ramona, she's great. Yeah, after this one, she gets the job done, I'll definitely would be open to that. So it'll happen again at some point, Jimmy. Don't you worry. Just a matter of when. Just a matter of when. Jen says he loved Ramona's TED Talk. That is right. She did have a TED Talk. I know that her and I have talked about that before. I don't know if it was on air during recording. It might have been off air. I don't remember. But yeah, she did one of those. So very cool. And she got to do that. Go says, what adjustments could Zapatella make? Circling around, getting her legs kicked was not a good idea. Definitely not. Go says, I don't think going toe-to-toe with Del Boni is a good thing to do. Del Boni stuffed all her takedowns in the first fight. I don't think Zapatella has the athleticism, skills, and IQ to make massive improvements like Whaley did at Fight Ready. True. But to devil's advocate that, I don't think Zapatella has changed camps. And why would she when she has been winning, technically? But what adjustments could she make to what you specifically said right there, Ghost, about circling around getting her legs kicked? Not a good idea, of course. I mean, she could work on trying to catch those things because Del Boni has no reason not to. And I know that she kind of, if I'm remembering correctly, she tried to attack after those, not quite catch them from what I remember, but Del Boni was just even when she went for it, like after that or off those moments, still couldn't get her down. I think she ended up getting her down for brief periods. Again, I haven't watched it super recently. I know we did the breakdown and all, but yeah, I would say try and time those things, man. Zapatella, what she needs to do is just wrestle the shit out of Del Boni if she can. Just be super aggressive with it. Grind on her. Wear her out. Get her down. Because then you don't have to worry about those leg kicks. You don't have to worry about the sharp combinations she's throwing at you the whole fight. Easier said than done, obviously, but Alicia was very willing to try and strike in that fight. So Rain says solid analysis as always, but I think you know the answer to your question. He always does. As Bruce says, remember, Del Boni is a crotch pointing master. That is true. James says, I forgot that Del Boni was the infamous crotch pointer, but now Ghost says that is just squared someone up. Ghost says, that's a great point, Drake. I talk about catching kicks every week, but forgot for this match. There you go, man. See, I remember. I know. Ultimately, though, you guys, like I said, and as we know, one of the worst robberies you'll ever see. Del Boni has fought 3 times in one night since that fight. Won them all. Zapatella hasn't fought at all. And she's talking about straw weight and whatnot, which, unless she's just saying that leads me to believe she's not being as serious as she should be about this. She does find ways to pull things out of her ass sometimes, like with that Ashley Cummins win with the Von Flue to get the title, because I think she was losing that fight before that happened in the 3rd round. But in this case, I don't see any reason to think Del Boni won't be even better than in the first fight. And I think she will get the job done. I'm going to go with Del Boni via 4th round submission. I think she's going to catch something. She's maybe off hurting her, something like that. I don't know, but I think she's really, really just motivated by how everything played out. And I got that vibe from talking to her as well after the tournament. So Jessica D coming for the strap. Coming for it. Gonna get it. Officially now. As Ghost says, but then again, catching kicks is a skill that's different from wrestling. Easier said than done, but great idea. He's my man. Yeah. Very true. Good points. And thank you. Then as for Ramona's fight with Shamir, I don't know how often Shamir, when her last fight was. Been a while, 2019. There you go. So she has just kind of coming in here looking to jumpstart things against Ramona, who is looking great. Looked pretty dominant in her last fight. Didn't last very long. Experience difference is obvious. Ramona's training with all the great fighters at Syndicate. Should be one-way traffic again, unfortunately, because Shamir does seem like a fun fighter and individual. If you did see that episode of MMA Inc. with Steve, so shout out to Steve, who's not here today, but that was his first episode, I believe. So yeah, you can go learn about her tattoos and whatnot. But Ramona's going to get the job done. I feel like probably similar to the last fight, probably 1st round TKO, some ground and pound or something. Ramona's just simply the better fighter and now able to be more active. So I think that helps her. Depending on how the size difference is, right? I mean, 150, interesting to see. Monica Franco, Haley Cowan. That's a tough one as well. Monica Franco, somebody who has a very interesting story, and Jessica Jessica Jillian DeCourse, very high on, I believe, her teammate Monica Franco. I think they're teammates. So talks very highly of her, and I imagine, no, I don't know if she'll be there for that one. But either way, Haley Cowan has looked solid recently as well in her career. I know she was in LFA, right? That's where Haley's career, the LFA, aside from the last fight, I should say. Forgot about that one. When was that? In September. Okay. But was on a good roll before that. At least starting off. Victoria Leonardo in the first fight. No shame there. It's interesting that she's coming over from LFA to Invicta for this one, isn't it? But yeah. So I don't know if I can necessarily make a prediction for that one because I haven't followed them as closely as I would like, but should be a fun one. And we got Klečka and Favela, Peralta, Pone again, which that'll be fun. Peralta's going to get that one done. Just more experience overall. Unless Pone can whip out some good grappling chops, but we'll see. Either way, should be a fun card on Invicta regardless. And of course, we're looking most forward to those top two fights. And just for Invicta to be back in general. Jimmy says Daboni's going to inside kick Zapatella's legs again. Why not? Those things were money. Rain says, didn't Ramona's original opponent drop out? Yes, I said that earlier, that Courtney King got COVID. So now Courtney King, the woman who was who fought Kayla Harrison in her only Invicta fight, that is who was supposed to fight Ramona. She got COVID. And now, we have Shamir. Yes, Sidro also. Jen says, would you ever have Ramona guest star on the podcast? That's not a bad idea, You know what? That's an interesting question. I think she probably follows enough. And even if we didn't do it traditional style here, and I know that Serena Southpaw did a great job there with all that, she'd still be fun to have on for you guys to ask the questions you want to ask and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think maybe we can work something out there, Jen. That's a good idea. Always thinking about that kind of thing. We'll see what 2022 holds. And Jimmy says, Drake, do you consider us casual since we were high on Ramona? No, I don't think so. I don't think I would say you're casuals for that. I mean, I think that makes you more hardcore than casuals because still not that many people know about Ramona. I mean, certain kind of groups and areas a part of the world, I think, do. And if you follow Syndicate closely, you have to know her at this point. But no, I wouldn't say that. Rain says Ramona is way better than Jed Michoud. Well, can't disagree with that. That's literally facts, Rain. As most are. Better than that disgraceful man. So, how it goes. But that is Invicta. 45. Good to have the brand back, kicking things off with a very good title fight rematch. Or at least one that needs to happen on Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific time. Gonna be good. And yep, Rain's got it right. Drake is 2-1 versus Jed. There you go. There you go. Wait, which one did I lose, Rain? Which one did I lose? I thought I was undefeated. Gotcha. I got you there. Busted, man. Busted. Well, no, I did admit I lost the third one. So, yeah. Good. That's fair. I'll take that, actually. All right. Moving along to the action coming up the day and a half after. One heavy hitter's going to be going down in Singapore. Their first event of the year. as we have 2 fights. Title fight. Oh, yes. Rain says, "You lost because you forgot to remind the Khan Army." Yes, that also happened. That is very true. So, I think that was still the 3rd one. So, yep, that was just a big L on my part indeed. Very fair. Kicking things off, though, for one heavy hitters, we have, well, these are both strawweight bouts, actually. Mma Bo is back looking to rebound as she takes on Tiffany Teo at 125 pounds. Mma Bo going back up in weight. Used to be a 125 pounder for most of her career, then went down for one championship, which kind of interesting that she did that. You would think it'd be like the other way around, I guess, but since one is weird with their fucking divisions, I don't know. But either way, here we are. Mma Bo back. Always love watching her. Caught up with her before this fight. So go check out that interview if you have not yet, if you would like to. Mma Bo, MiamiNews.com, and my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Drake Riggs. Good stuff with Mma Bo as always. Shaved her hair off after the loss to Ritu Phogat as a little bit of a humbling reminder to get better and make your improvements, all that kind of thing. So no chill. Tiffany Teo hasn't fought since her 2nd career loss to Zhang Jingnan, which is she's only lost to Panda when you really see it right there. This fight, I think, will be, it feels weird to say kind of a, I don't know, not a rebirth for Mma Bo by any means, because that Ritu loss wasn't terrible or anything. Got exposed a little bit, and those are her words, not mine, on the ground and where maybe her weaknesses are and were, at least that we've known about. But to lose in the Grand Prix the way she did, snap a fairly long winning streak, all those kind of elements, it feels like when she was one of the favorites to win. That's why it kind of feels like a bigger thing than, I don't know, maybe it normally would be. But here in this fight with Tiffany Teo, back up in weight, not having to cut as much muscle or weight, whatever. And she thinks that she was kind of taking off some muscle, or taking it away from her by going down to that division, 115 pounds. And down there, she was still one of the hardest hitting 115 pounders on the planet. I mean, some of the knockouts and the power that she possessed, almost knocked out Ritu. I mean, this could be a different conversation if she didn't go for that fucking armbar. Mma Bo doesn't go for that armbar and just pounds away on Ritu. We're not even having this conversation right now. Maybe she's fighting Angela Lee like she wanted, but instead she went for the armbar. So now Tiffany Teo is in the way and will be taking on, in theory, a more powerful Mma Bo, who gets to retain some of that muscle mass and what have you. A Mma Bo who has seemingly, at least from what she said, been working on her wrestling a lot and wants to show it off. She wants to show it off in this fight, which I don't think is something she'll need to do, but that'd be great to see. I would love to see her implement some of the wrestling improvements that she has wanted to make up for that Ritu loss, losing the way that she did with her inferior, is that the right word? Inferior takedown defense and just grappling in general, as she, again, couldn't finish that armbar. So it's very tough to kind of assume how this one will go, but on the feet, I think she should be fine against Tiffany Teo. Power advantage is going to be in her favor against probably everybody, really. She might be the hardest hitter in one championship among the women. I think that's probably fair to say. Unless I'm forgetting somebody, I apologize. But among both, it's like a hammer. And yeah, Zhang Jingnan is the only one to have beaten Tiffany Teo, and very kind of different styled strikers are um, Bo and Panda, or Panda of a varied volume kind of striker a little bit. I still think that as much punishment as Tiffany Teo has taken against Panda, that it might be adding up here. And I'm not sure how old she is. It doesn't say on here, but I think Tiffany is kind of, I want to say she's getting up there, but she's older than Monk. Well, I know that much. So maybe we could see a little bit of a breaking point here for Tiffany Teo. But I just think she will probably struggle a bit on the feet. And then if Mungbo has made these improvements on the ground, that seems very motivated to have done that. It's going to be difficult for Tiffany to kind of replicate a performance like Ritu did. So, yes. Oh boy. What is that? Is it? Can you guys not hear me? Am I having internet issues with the sound? Because I hope not, because I know it's terrible. I desperately need to fix it. I apologize. So I apologize for that. Can't do anything about it right this moment. Yikes. Sorry, everybody. Jimmy asks, Drake, would you ever go to an MMA gym to learn some skills and light spar with some of the fighters? Do you think that would provide you a different perspective as a journalist? Absolutely. Absolutely to both of those things. A little bit, it's an intimidating thought. I have thought about it. It's, of course, very intimidating, not just because of kind of the position, that I'm in now, but like, I don't know. I just don't know if I have like knowing it as much about the sport as I do at the current level. Okay, I hear you, Rain. He says, just trying to change the subject, as you guys do. Now I know. The internet is not fine though. I will let you know that much. As long as you can hear me and not see me, or as long as you just hear me in general, whatever. But what I was getting at was, I just wouldn't have the confidence in myself at first, because I'm like, oh, well, I know they're better than me. I feel like it'd be just so tough to get myself to actually try as hard as I could, because it's like, no matter what I do, it's not gonna be what I want. I'm such a perfectionist, but it's a great idea though, Jimmy. I definitely agree. And the more working out, the better, I would say. As James likes the idea. Who knows? Maybe that can be a project at some point. And Ghost agrees. All right, you guys are pressuring me now. Maybe I will. There's plenty of gyms in the Pacific Northwest, that. So my only excuses are laziness, I suppose. But all right, I'm gonna give my prediction though now, which will be Mungbo by second round knockout. I think Tiffany will survive to the second round. But excited to see it. Love watching Mungbo fight. And then back at flyweight, happier and healthier. Gets to eat her hot pots, which she loves so much. But then in the main event of the very first 2020 event for One Championship, we do have the Panda, who we just mentioned, as Zhang Jingnan takes on Ayaka Miura. Zombie, the last challenger in theory, unless Mungbo can win. If Mungbo wins, then she'll be new blood at 125 pounds. But if she loses, geez, division's a little bit fucked. So unless Ayaka wins, then that would be that kind of case. But Ayaka Miura, great judo practitioner, trains with Kana Watanabe every now and then. They're not normal training partners, I don't think, but they have and do train every now and then. And I know they trained ahead of this fight, got some work in together. And then Panda has been training with Ritu recently, actually. So continually honing her grappling as she's always on point in the striking. Panda's just so fun to watch, man. I really enjoy watching her do her work. That'd be a fun breakdown to see, I think, at some point. Personally, maybe we'll get it tonight. We'll see. We shall see. Zhang Jingnan. And then Ayaka Miura also might not be a bad one. The Scarfold Queen, as that should be her new nickname, if we're going to be honest. Not the zombie anymore. I mean, all of her fucking wins in one championship have been via Scarfold armbar. Americana. Excuse me. And then her only loss was to Tiffany Teo, funny enough, who we also just talked about. But that was, I don't know if I agreed with that. I have to go back and watch it again, but I remember not thinking that stoppage might have been a little bit soon. And Ayaka was doing pretty all right in the striking in that fight as well. But we all know what she's best at. Very, very clear. It's happened so much now that people would call her a one-trick pony, but I don't necessarily think that's the case just yet. But no matter what, her striking isn't going to be able to keep up with Jingnan. It's pretty cut and dry how this needs to go. Ayaka needs to get her down, get her in that Scarfold spot, and do her thing. But Jingnan continually improving in her grappling, as we've continued to see since the Angela Lee fights. And then again, it's becoming maybe more methodical and picks her opponents apart more patiently these days with her striking. So, and the body shots are gorgeous, as Ghost does say. Just wants to see some awesome body shots from Panda. Yeah, I think we definitely will. Definitely will see that. Rue says Panda couldn't KO Michelle Nicolini when Nicolini had her chin up in the air. Yeah, she's fun to watch, but what happened there? Yeah, she got close though, didn't she? She knocked her down at the end of the second round, right? Pretty sure she got close, unless I'm thinking of a different fight there, Rue. But, and if that did happen, then it was smart of her not to follow it up. Nicolini very dangerous on the ground, but that was just a very smart performance from Panda overall, I think. And like I said, more methodical and maybe patient with her striking approach and looking to pick her opponents apart more than just relentlessly kind of blitz them a little bit like we saw in maybe the first Angela fight and some others in the past. But I think we could see kind of the same approach because, again, we know what Ayaka is dangerous at. So the fight could play out in that same fashion. But Tiffany could score a TKO, even though it was early an early stoppage, as I thought. I think Panda very well could too. And yeah, Rain says the Nicolini fight was disappointing. She didn't go to the body in that. It was a different type of Panda performance, but got the job done. And back on the other idea, Jimmy says you could try it for like a week and document your experience. Yeah, that's true. Wouldn't have to necessarily commit for like a long period of time, but that's when you get the most out of something, right? I feel like I'd have to do it for a good while, maybe depending on how the first week went, right? So you guys are tempting me. Maybe I'll look into it. Always like to do stuff like that. Jimmy says, don't really want to see Scarfolds, so go Panda. All right, there you go. I mean, Scarfolds, man, I think they're pretty great. You don't see, it's very rare to see unless it's an Ayaka Miura fight. So I enjoy seeing them. I think it's always crazy, especially if you can continue to do that, of all things. But for that to happen to Panda, I just can't see it happening. And I don't think that's her only path to victory. No way. but she needs to get on the ground. I think just more time for Panda to continually work on her grappling and wrestling with somebody like Ritu. Only gonna be harder and harder from here on out. So Panda gonna get it done. As much as I do like Ayaka as well, and she is a part of the Kana army. You got to remember that, guys. Ayaka's Team Kana here. I think Jingan will. I think it'll be. I think it'll be a decision. I think Ayaka will be able to survive. It might get a little sloppy towards the end there from Ayaka's side. I mean, she's never gone 5 rounds before, right? So maybe it gets finished late. Not sure, but I'll take the safe bet and say unanimous decision for Panda. As Rue says, no, Kana, our girl. Yep. But that is one heavy hitters. Just 2 fights. There is also the Muay Thai bout, though, at Katarina. No, not I'm blanking on her name. I'm totally forgetting what her name is. Do I have it up here? But was it Wonder Girl, maybe? I have not paid attention to that other bout. What do we got here? It was Vanderyeva. I was right. Ekaterina Vanderyeva. Okay. And then Jarunsak Muay Thai, as it says. It's Supergirl, not Wonder Girl. Okay, there's all the nicknames. Throw me off. Throw me off, man. But that is also happening. Ed Rain says, oh no, Team Kana will lose. That's not good, but Scarfolds for me, not cool. All right, at least you guys can admit the sadness, I suppose. As that's one heavy hitters. Wrap it on up. Get on over to UFC Vegas 46. 2 fights on this card as well. My goodness, you guys. I feel like we should have been done right there. So much to talk about as we go back to the strawweight division. But the real strawweight division, 115 pounds. It will be Vanessa Demopolis versus Sylvana Gomez Juarez. Yep. 2 of the fighters who made their debuts on short notice didn't go their ways. And now they're back in the divisions that, well, not Sylvana, but Vanessa, that they should be. As Demopolis had the tough one against Aldrich, right? That was her, I guess I can see. That was her debut. Yes. Okay. Thought so. 1-3 in her last 4 with the loopy madness in that one. Corey Mckenna before that on Contender Series. Vanessa Demopolis, in my opinion, as respectfully as I can be, I just don't think that she is UFC caliber and proved that yet necessarily, despite the Arceo win on LFA. And I know, again, like I said, she got in via short notice. As this is near even, which if Sylvana didn't have that fight with Loopy and it go the way that it did, I don't think Sylvana would be even here. I don't think the odds would be even. Sylvana would be favored. So, because I'm sure not many people knew of her. And in my opinion, I think she should have been in the UFC a little bit sooner than that. And of course, she is 37, which is quite old for prospect, if you want to use that word, which I think is safe, and that's fair in this case. I know that's a little bit of a debate to be had, but Sylvana, very solid striker, puts things together nicely. Get some good leg kicks from her, especially if you go and look at her last win. My goodness. I think, hands down, if you haven't seen this fight, undeniably the worst stoppage of all time. Just absolutely fucking disgusting. So, like, that referee should probably be actually in jail. Like, they just allowed somebody to get beat up when your job is to not do that. Fight should have been stopped like literally 4 times. It is one of the most disgraceful referee jobs. It's the most disgraceful referee job I've ever seen. And I think anyone who's seen it can probably agree with that. The Gilles Perea victory for Sylvana, just maddeningly bad. Sylvana just beat the life out of her. Should have been stopped way sooner. Just aggravates you to think about that kind of thing. But Vanessa Demopolis is very tough. She, as we have seen in her JJ Aldrich fight, where JJ just kind of too big, out wrestled her in that one. And then Vanessa got beat up, outboxed pretty much that whole loopy fight, but came back strong late. 5 rounds, so impressive there that she was able to stick around. But I think Sylvana just a bit more refined and polished everywhere, specifically on the feet in this one. And yeah, funny enough, Loopy also beat her. Now I'm just kind of clicking in my head, utilizing her grappling a little bit more in the Sylvana fight than the Demopolis one in the LFA. But I just think Sylvana, it was a very bad example of her in the last matchup. So, as for the other mention, Rue says Vendryeva did beat Joanna in 2012. So should we watch that? I'm not super into the Muay Thai scene, so I've not even did that happen. So I didn't know if that you could. I did see Vendryeva's one of her last fights, but I really don't follow the Muay Thai as closely as maybe I should. James is probably going to skip this one. Well, come on now. Jimmy says worth a watch, and who should we watch? Sylvana for me. If you couldn't tell, I just don't think Vanessa's there yet. She could surprise, but she should try and do the same kind of approach that Loopy had in Sylvana's last fight, which is make it ugly, get her to the ground. But that's just not quite what we generally see out of Demopolis. And I know we've seen some insane submissions like that inverted triangle choke against Sam Hughes in LFA, but that's not necessarily one you try to get. You know what I mean? Like that just kind of happens depending on where you end up. You know, you don't, if anyone, like, you don't specifically aim for it, you know, just kind of happens. At least I would say that's my opinion on inverted triangles. But yeah, so keep an eye on Sylvana. Jimmy is what I'm getting at. Jin says, didn't go say that Demopolis rolled with Whaley at Fight Ready. He may have. I don't I wouldn't know as well as he does. I didn't think that Vanessa was an Arizona dweller, whatever you want to say. Fights out of LA according to Tapology here. Litchell going with La Mavada. All right, I like it. Go says, firstly, she only trained with Whaley for 4 weeks. Secondly, it was only jiu-jitsu. Lastly, think about Rose training with Martin. Need I say more? Jin says, I'm hoping Demopolis pulls this off for Team Magnum. She helped Whaley train. Well, all right. Fair enough. 4 weeks of jitsu. So just a matter of kind of Demopolis getting there. Otherwise, I think I just think that Sylvana is going to be much sharper on the feet. So that'll carry her to the victory, as we've seen it generally do for her when she wins. So La Malvada, the Wicked, via decision for me. I think Demopolis is pretty goddamn tough. I don't think she'll get finished, but she'll take a pretty good beating in there. Just kind of what she's done in her losses. Unfortunately for her, I got nothing against her, of course, but I've really liked what I've seen from Sylvana in her career. So that's the pick. And yep, we are getting spam, James. How about that? The spammers are finding us. As we get on to the rematch, we didn't know we needed Caitlyn Chucagian versus Jennifer Maia in the co-main event of the evening, which I like to see that. But I don't think we need to see this rematch exactly. um, I I'm a supporter of both fighters. One of the few Caitlyn supporters, at least one who will back up her abilities and that kind of thing. Her not being as boring as a lot of people think she is. And Jennifer Maia, one of the flyweight goats. Um, but I just don't agree with this matchmaking. Really, I really don't think it was the right move. Could have been timing, but I think KGB Lee versus Chucagian made more sense. Yeah, I don't know. And the first fight was a bit of a weird one. Not super memorable. I was there for that UFC 244 when Chucagian did get the job done, but it was kind of a pretty traditional Chucagian performance. And I think Maya will probably want to try and she should want to maybe utilize the clinch a little bit more, use her Muay Thai against the cage if she can. Make it, I mean, you always want to get a hold of Chucagian generally because she fights very, very active movement, volume striker, fights at distance. We know what we get from Chucagian for the most part, unless she's taken on Antonina Shevchenko and beating him into a pulp on the ground. But, oh my goodness, Rue. I'm not even going to read that one. How dare you? But this is an interesting fight to kind of think about in terms of how it'll play out, because if Maya can't really close the distance like she couldn't the first time, and I think it'll probably play out the same way that it did the first time. And I feel like she's made some decent improvements since then, but it's just Chucagian is such a hard fighter to fight. Her style is very problematic for most people, unless your name is Jessica Andrade or Valentina, But what you gonna do? Go says, or do what Andrade did and slip to the inside and punch the body with a rear straight. Yeah, very true. Could do that, but I don't know if Maya will pack the same pop as Andrade. Few do, but fair. Litchell says, Caitlyn by decision, jab all day. Yeah, jab in your face. Jab it up. Jab a dab a do. I think, yeah. As much as I do love Maya, I just think Caitlyn will get it done again. Maybe be a little bit closer than the last fight. It was pretty clear. 29-28 for Caitlyn last time in 2019. But yeah, Caitlyn Chucagian, unanimous decision. Just wish they would have matched them up differently. Just wish. As Ghost says, I don't know if Maya will even try to slip anything. We'll find out. We will find out. But all right, you guys. Done with the previews. I am starving now, so very excited to get me some food after this show. Thank you for tuning in. If you're joining just now, 1:43 into it, if you're on Twitter, don't forget to jump over to YouTube if you want to comment. If you're on YouTube, appreciate you. Like, share, and subscribe. All that kind of thing. You're about to be in for a treat if you ain't been here before. Because at the end of the show, we got fighter techniques to look at, folks. We got phantom punches, phantom punch breakdowns, to be more specific. We got installment, excuse me. Can't call it an episode when it's inside of another episode. In episodeception there. Phantom punch breakdown, installment number 23. Plenty of great guesses this week. Less guesses than the last couple weeks, actually. But that's okay because you guys got it right. You guys got the right guess this week. Now, so many comments, so little time, so much lineup. I forget who was right. So claim your victory here for predicting the right guess. I haven't even said it yet, James. What are you talking about? This week's Fan a Punch Breakdown is Angela Lee, the unstoppable one championship atomweight champion of the world, takes on Stamp Fairtex at some point this year. This one is gonna be a good one, everybody. Get yourselves ready. All right. Give it away to Rue and James for their Angela Lee guesses. As we pull it on up now, get on into it. For Angela Lee clinch entries. Let's begin, shall we? This is not a prediction or ghost favoring a certain fighter. These are tendencies we should watch out for when Angela Lee fights. Opponent moves towards Lee's rear hand in a neutral stance. Body kick lands since the opponent circled into Lee's tracks. Punching off the kick is a good tactic since the opponent has to react to the kick before defending the punch. Take note how each of Lee's clinches, excuse me while I back up, Lee's clinches happen when her opponent's back is near the cage. Left hook acts as an entry into the clinch. Instead of consolidating her position in the clinch, Lee goes for the classic head and arm throw, unfortunately. Lands in the classic scarf hold. An opponent that knows what they are doing can take the back with ease from this position. We hear about it every time on commentary, Ghost. But good to highlight. On the tracks. Switch step left straight. Step in right straight to follow retreating opponent. Lead hook on the opponent's high guard. Rear body kick while the opponent retreats. On the tracks. Choo-choo. Lead hook to enter the clinch, taking note of the opponent's back near the cage as Lee enters. Opponent has double underhooks. Lee responds by widening her base and separating her hips to improve her position in the clinch. While double underhooks is advantageous for the opponent, small adjustments like these help Lee to look to consolidate and even improve her position in the future. Opponent has double underhooks, so Lee establishes a head post in the clinch. For those that don't know, a head post is the top of your head underneath the chin of another fighter in the clinch. It's a good idea to throw kicks near the cage as the opponent squares themselves up, thus limiting their options. Lee throws a body kick while the opponent is squared off. Here against Mma Yamaguchi, Lee blades her base to feed her opponent the single, and begins to establish a whizzer to defend the single leg. Lee consolidates the clinch by widening her base after defending the single. Lee enters with a jab straight on the tracks. Lee is able to get the double collar tie when her opponent decides to exchange after hitting Lee in the chest. Also, take note that Lee's clinch entries happen when her opponent's back is near the cage. Take note of the position of the opponent in relation to the cage when Lee initiates an exchange. Level change forces the opponent to back up towards the cage, losing more area of retreat. Right hook eliminates the remaining space that the opponent needs for a linear retreat. Lack of retreating space for the opponent allows Lee to inadvertently headbutt on the clinch entry. Back is near the cage, as Lee is on the tracks. Two contexts where Lee likes to enter the clinch. Catching kicks is a hard skill to master. However, in this context, it becomes easy since the low kick is initiated on the tracks. Naked low kicks on the tracks or naked body kicks to the closed side of on the tracks are two of the easiest kicks to catch in all of fighting since they are easily seen. Lee pushes into her opponent past her base. Since the opponent's head, center of mass, is past the base, she becomes completely off balanced. Almost lands a knee there. Nice and legal. As Lee secures a front headlock after sprawling over the opponent's panic shot. Opponent's back is near the cage. Lee is on the tracks. Lee enters with the front kick and a hook from the same side. Lee drops her base to consolidate the over-under clinch. Back to the cage. Lee on the tracks. Lee enters with her favorite left hook overhand combo when she has her opponent backing up. This forces her opponent to clinch up, which is exactly what Lee wants. Lee takes advantage of the clinch by driving her opponent to the cage and getting her hips and base outside the opponent's hips. Lee gets hip separation to land a knee. Back to the cage on the tracks here in the Zhang Jingnan first fight. One of the best fights of all time. Opponent is forced to clinch after Lee enters. Hip separation as well as single collar tie and bicep tie allows Lee to land a clinch knee while breaking the opponent's posture. Kablamo! Clinch knee lands. Overhook and palm underneath opponent's chin allows Lee to reverse the position. The overhook connects Lee and her opponent while the palm underneath the chin breaks the opponent's posture. Hand under the opponent's chin creates hip separation. Lee also has her hips outside her opponent, giving her the perfect angle to land a knee. Oh, that fight was too good, man. Jingan uses an interesting tactic as soon as she gets on the fence. She squares up Lee by moving to the left as Lee comes in. On the fence, shoulder to shoulder, since we can't see the feet. You know what? This is a little bit of a panda breakdown as well, huh? A little bit in there. Some sprinkles of the champ in this breakdown, huh? Jingan squares up Lee and lands a beautiful body jab. So we got two guys getting the predictions right here. There were some Panda predictions. We are big fans of fighters that can hook off the body jab. Even though this is not a Jingan breakdown, this is still cool. Right as I say that. Lee walks forward to initiate the clinch when her opponent takes her off the tracks. This is a tendency Stamp Fairtex might try to exploit. Jingan lands a knee to the body as Lee is fighting for the bicep tie in the head post. All these elements allow Lee to push Jingan to the cage. Jingan might have landed a good knee, but this position gives Lee an advantage. Back that up. Head post, as you can see, circled. Bicep tie, the overhook, and hip separation. Keep it separated. Lee drops her level to prepare a knee. Jingan checks Lee's knee with her own. When Lee is on the tracks and her opponent's back is near the fence, you can expect her to strike into the clinch in a straight line. Hold up. Missed the things here. This is good for Lee since her opponents only have three options. 1, counter strike step out to the side door, like Jingan tried. 2, accept the clinch. 3, side step to the left or the right. We know that Stamp is very good at punching fighters that enter on the tracks, but has trouble when the fighter changes positions before and after exchanges. See Stamp versus Dana Todd, for example. Jingan still got clinched up and taken down, but she made Lee's clinch entries difficult by getting on the fence and squaring Lee up, which forced Lee to chase the clinch instead of strike into it. Do you think Stamp can make Lee work to get the clinch like Jingan did? That is the question. And a good one. Ghost. Got me a good bit more excited for that fight. It's going to be an interesting one. I don't know. Obviously, we'll find out, but Stamp making Lee work to get to the clinch like Jingan. I don't think we've seen enough evidence so that she can do that in past fights, but I guess, against Ritu was good enough. It was good enough of an example of a taste right before this fight will happen, but I don't know. It just seems hard for me to imagine her replicating that the same way Jingan did. Because it's Jingan, but I think it's certainly possible. Ghost. I can't. It's tough for me to give a definitive answer on that, but because it's Angela Lee as well, who, I mean, I don't know if she'll have. I think she'll have more success than Ritu, I guess. Let's put it that way. So Stamp can, but will she? I'm gonna say no right now. Even though Angela, we have no idea how she'll come back from pregnancy. She's been inactive, all that kind of thing. I'm gonna believe in her because the Lees are obvious fucking freaks. In a good way, that's a compliment. Freaks of nature, athletes, fighters. So another one in the books. Banner Punch Breakdown number 23. Hope you enjoyed. Now, let me get to the old comment roundup. The fastballs, as we'll call them. Running on through. And I know that Craig Johnston had a question here. I'm sorry I missed that. I'll get back to it here at the end of the show. If you're still here, Craig, shout out to you. But here we are. James saying, oh, yeah, I was right. Rue says, oh, actually, no, I didn't guess that. Taking credit for nothing. Jimmy says, clinch entries, new topic. James says, off the bat, Ghost is talking about predictions. Rue says, punching off the kick. Themes, you betcha. Alvin congratulating Mrs. Lee. Jimmy says, unfortunately. I don't know what the unfortunately was for. For the predictions, I don't know. Rain says on the tracks. Rain says overarching themes. Jin says, can Lee do this to Stamp? That's the opposite of the question. Centro, from now on, I'm going to say, I guess that before Drake reveals the Phantom Punch breakdown. Might as well just say it. Jimmy says, I can't throw kicks near a cage since my gym is open mat. James asking, what's the difference between the Whizzer and Overhook? Rain says, this all of Angela's clinch entries in her career? Rue says, where's the spicy talk this week? Ghost saying, Whizzer is an overhook, but the person applying the overhook is lifting the armpit towards the ceiling, and overhook is just a position. Jimmy says, Ghost ran about catching kicks. Jin says, what happened to comedic Ghost? Rue says, Drake, do you prefer spicy Ghost or educational Ghost? Of course I prefer. Educational Ghost it's Ghost in general. That's just what he is, right? But spicy Ghost, I like spicy Ghost if he's not being mean about it, because we know that he can get aggressive towards the chess boys. If he keeps that over there, I'm fine with it. If it's all in good fun, which I think it mostly has been. I think he's gone a little too. Some things have been a little too on the nose, but for the most part, hey, they're still up, right? I didn't cut anything out. I can edit things if I want, So he's been all right so far with the spice in the past. James says, if you fuse Alvin, Yakatorian Ghost, you get Robin Black. Whoa. Mind blown. James says, you would get Alvin's positivity as well as Ghost analytical mind. Oh, that's funny. Rain says, Jing non-cameo. Mr. Lee showing up late. He says, I agree, Alvin. Congrats to Mrs. Lee. Centro, I predicted Jingnan, so this counts. I'd count that as half a win. Jimmy says, couldn't Stamp just follow Panda's game plan from the first fight? Could try. Probably should try. Rain says, Ghost loves when someone hooks off the body jab. Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful. It's fantastic. And Jimmy says, Ghost, you know the answer to your question. He always does. Centro, why does Ghost like to ask questions he already knows? Because it's for me to ponder. As we mentioned earlier in the show, this segment began in the mailbag. This was birthed from the mailbag. So it's not about Ghost knowing. It's about him testing me, really. This is just a knowledge test for us, you guys. And as he mentions, he also says, we don't know if she can do this. The fight hasn't happened yet. There's also that. Good point. Good point, Ghost. So, Craig says, oh, this is the one from earlier. Okay, I'll get to that in a sec. Thank you for the repost, though. Jimmy says educational Ghost. Ghost says the chess boys deserve it. Hey, I can't comment on that. I'll take your word for it. Centra says, how come you take out the chat portion when you put it in the playlist? It makes editing easier, shorter, that kind of thing. And I don't know, do you want me to keep these parts in? I figured, and like if somebody goes to a Phantom Punch breakdown and they don't follow the show or don't like see the show first, I think about like they'll be like, what the fuck is this all about, kind of thing. And I mean, I feel like it's pretty obvious that this is a part of its own thing, but I don't know. I feel like convenience sake, pretty much. It's a lot more convenient for me. But if you want it in, I guess that's fine. I just thought it was a common preference. Ghost, let me know what you think. I mean, it doesn't affect it too much, but it like kind of deceives, I think, with the length, because it adds on a couple more minutes, but whatever. Jimmy says birth from the mailbag. And also, yes, yeah. But the chat is like for this show, WMA Today. It's not for, I mean, it is. You know what I mean. I'm overcomplicating this incredibly. Ghost says, not testing you guys as things to think about for sure. James says, I like the Phantom Punch when you take out the chat. All right, yeah. See, so I mean, it makes it more segmenty, I guess, for being taken out, for separating the segment from the actual what we're doing now. I went on about that. Alvin says, incredible breakdown, Mr. Ghost. Indeed, couldn't agree more. Bueno. All right. Craig does have his question. I told him I would get to it. He says, I know this might be random, Drake. How did the chat know so much about Whaley and her training partners? They are very dedicated fans, Craig. They follow her on WeChat and all those things that I don't know how to do. Just very dedicated fans. And some of them may even have trained with or around her, that kind of thing. So they're in the know, man. Team Magnum ain't no joke. So, I mean, hey, I could tell you more than you probably would have imagined about Dominic Cruz. I've been in the same boat. I don't follow him I'm not as dedicated as I used to be, but I used to be able to. If you really want it, you can get inside a fighter's life pretty easily. Maybe not like personally or whatever, but you can follow a lot of things they do and learn so much about them just by really trying to. It's just kind of like keeping up with research. So I've been in their same boats, and it's nice to have around for overall knowledge's sake as we get some Team Magnums out there from Jimmy and James, double J's. But all right, good stuff there. Second show of 2022. Man, long previews today. So much to preview. It's going to be long recaps next week. I don't know if I like it. Space it out a bit, MMA. Even though I guess we don't have to talk about everything, but that's the duty that I am doing. Try to do. So appreciate it. Craig saying, very cool, Drake. Thank you for being such an inclusive bunch and your respect for such a great fighter. Well, I'm glad you think so, Craig, and happy to have you, man. Happy to have anybody who supports the show and whatnot. Just trying to have, a nice positive community here and show respect and appreciation to some fighters who deserve some love that maybe they don't get as regularly. So we give it to them every goddamn Monday. And that's how we'll wrap this up. Don't forget, if you haven't already, for some odd reason, follow us, like, share, and subscribe to the channel at DrakeRiggs _ at Steve K _ MMA at the Scrap News. Audio only versions now on Anchor and Spotify. You can search WMMA Today. Links in description right below. Since we're live, I can still do that. The chat is over on this side, right? This side. You guys are over here. Yeah. Already got the plugs out of the way for Yan Zhao Nan, who I spoke to on Saturday. Dropped that today. Go check it out. You know what I should do when I'm alone like this without Steve, or even when I am with him? I should just no, I'm not going to do it. I was going to pull it up and screen share. I don't want to do it. Too lazy. Just trying to get out of here. Yan Zhao Nan, though, I spoke to her. Go check that one out. Getting ready to take on Marina Rodriguez, UFC 272. Good chat with her, as always. Talked about lots of things, as we do. Spoke to Julia Budd and Lance Gibson Senior, excuse me. Talked to them right before this, actually, for a project that I will be releasing this week, hopefully, that I've been a little project that I've been wanted to get out before the end of 2021, but I needed their comments and thoughts. A little unique kind of one, melting pot of ideas, looking at a dynamic in MMA. That'll be your little hint, but I'll have that coming out and some other comments from Julia as well. Good stuff, catching up with her as always. But I'm excited to get this out because it's a good topic that I think needs some looking at because it's very common. So look forward to that. I think it'll be exciting. And yeah. So that's on the way as well. And then got some other things lined up. Broaden Horizon, episode 12. About to get in production. We haven't started yet, but it's coming. Some other people as well outside of that. A lot of things in the works, you guys. It's a brand new year. Get excited. Get pumped. stay positive, all that kind of thing. Things will get better. And for me, I think things are gonna get good this year. They've been good, but they're only going up. I dropped a lot of hints right there just now, but appreciate you guys greatly, so much. Can't wait to see you next week. As Chris says, great show, fantastic community. We try, man. Ghost says, yeah, Jimmy Craig for the win, as he's the newest member to Team Magnum. Let's give Chris some love as well. Jimmy says, Chris, you're the man. Rue, Chris is great. Love when you were on SCMP. He is the best. Centro, Chris and Nick are my favorites. And when Drake shows up on SCMP, my guy. Yeah, the dynamic duo, those two. The Hong Kong boys. The Brits in HK, even though Nick is still at home. He hasn't come back yet. Alvin saying, Mr. Edwards Bailey, love your thoughts on SCMP. Fantastic show, Drake. Glad you think so. And I guess I should also plug the Mung Bo interview too, since I did speak to her before this fight this week. Go check that out. Also, it's all on my YouTube channel. As always, got the videos there and whatnot. But I think that about does it. I think that about does it for the pluggity plugs. Yeah, I think so. All right, you guys. Until next week, stay safe, stay sane, enjoy all the action, starting on Wednesday with Invicta, ending on Saturday with UFC. You love to see it. We back. All right, guys. Peace.